Sage Wanderer here, coming at you from my new truck. Well, new to me. So if you're seeing this, then you missed my live stream and you're watching this on replay. So welcome to the replay. And as usual, I never advertise or warn anybody that I'm doing a live stream. So it's amazing that anybody finds me. And this is actually a little slow here. We're 27 minutes in, 28 seconds in, and I haven't got anybody in. There's Kevin. He's first. What's up, Kevin? Jamie, good to see you. That's 3 in the room. Steven, hey, buddy, thank you so much for the AK accessories and the magazines and all that stuff. It was awesome. That is a really cool muzzle brake you sent me. What's up, Spencer and MJ and Sean and William? What's up, y'all? Good to see everybody. Tay-Bay, what's up? Lucky Luciano, ooh, that's a cool name. What's up, Lucky? I had a dog named Lucky. Turns out he got hit by a car. Wasn't so lucky. What's up, Greg? So I guess I'll dig in. The title of this is Chaz, Chop, and Personal Slop. So before I get into the Chaz and the Chop, we'll talk about the personal slop. As you can see, I'm not driving my little car right now. So this will be a personal update. So if people come along later, you'll miss the personal update. But so I sold my property in Texas. I got a fair market value for it. I sold it for a little bit more than what I paid for land that I bought in Oklahoma. So I bought land in Oklahoma, and it actually has 2 cabins like the one I live in now on the property there. And it's 3 lots. There's also a nice carport outbuilding that I'm going to probably put chickens in. How redneck is that? And so I sold my land in Texas for enough money to buy this other place and have enough money left over to buy this quad cab pickup. So the reason that there is still a year later not any sheetrock on the walls in my shotgun shack is because I don't have a pickup to haul it. I have anything that's been done to the shotgun shack had to be carried there in my Toyota Corolla. So I was able to glean enough to get this this pickup that's new to me. It's a 15-year-old pickup. It's a 2005 Chevy, or it's actually a GMC Sierra quad cab. So it's going to give me what I need as far as transportation to get moved to Oklahoma, move my stuff up there, and also so that I can do the work that I need to do on that place in Oklahoma. Because the 2 shotgun shacks that are on that property, one of them is way more finished than mine. Of course, that place has a well and a septic. I'm so glad. I just want to take a shower without having to carry the water and pump it through a 12-volt pump and take a marine shower. As soon as I take possession of the land in Oklahoma, I am going to take an hour shower. I'm going to take a shower until the hot water's gone, and then I'm just going to keep showering anyway because it's water. You know, it's those things that we take for granted. Not having water has been really, really hard on me. And but I got, and the well and septic is huge. I also have a storm shelter, and the property in Oklahoma is 4 acres of hardwood forest. So I will have to get a chainsaw and go to clearing, which is good because it's got a wood stove already installed, ready to go. And when I take possession, I'll give you all a tour of the place. But the forest is made up of pecan. So there's a bunch of pecan trees there, oak trees, and a tree I've never heard of, which is a native Oklahoma tree called blackjack. And apparently it's really hard and good for firewood. So I've got those, this forest, 4 acres of forest, which is going to give me unlimited fuel there. So in so many ways, it's a much better home site than where I'm at. And you know, the guy that owns the rest of the 20 acres, see, originally I had 20 acres in Texas, and I sold 12 and a half off. Well, sold / lost some of it in a divorce, obviously. But the guy that owned the rest of my 20 acres, when he made the deal to buy what I had left, the 8.5 I had left, then it finished out and rejoined the 20 acres again. So now he has a continuous 20 acre, and that's a beautiful piece of land. The eight and a half I retained is probably the least valuable and the least desirable of the 20 acres there. That 8.5 is like the back part and the driveway. But anyway, yeah, he was not going to. It's just better. I was being blocked from being able to get a well and a septic where I was and where the house is. And another thing about the sale of my land is I just sold the land. I didn't sell the shotgun shack. So I can still sell the shotgun shack, which is basically a portable building. Or I can use some of the money I got from the land deal to move the shotgun shack to Oklahoma. I just need to see how much that'll cost me. If it costs me less than $1,000 or $2,000 to move the shotgun shack, it probably would make sense for me to move it instead of selling it and having somebody, come pick it up. But the shotgun shack, those portable houses are kind of like mobile homes, but with all wood construction. So in a lot of ways they're more like a home, but you start out with just a shed. But the one in Oklahoma, one of the two, it's got sheetrock, it's got insulation, they both have skirting, there's decking all around them, there's a storm shelter, there's a finished bathroom with a clawfoot tub, and it just doesn't have a kitchen. I just got to install a kitchen, but that won't be too hard to do. And I'm excited about moving there. Oklahoma has constitutional carry, so I've been working on my. I have most of my holsters are concealed carry holsters, and I've always done concealed carry or car carry, And so now I'm working on my overt, over the top, open carry rig, because a lot of folks in that part of Oklahoma open carry. And I was watching one of my. I think it was. It was Nut and Fancy. If you watch him, he's a gun guy, Nut and Fancy. He did a video about overt open carry, how it's time now with civil unrest and all of the weirdness going on in America, that the defunding of police, and more importantly, the police standing down and not really doing their job because they don't feel appreciated, and they don't feel backed. Nobody's backing the blue. So there's a lot of cops that just are not doing their jobs. They're resigning en masse. So with all that going on, Nut and Fancy was saying, carry big, carry overtly, open carry, and carry big ones. Safari Land, Spencer, that is exactly what I carry. I love the retention system of Safari Land. It's ALS. Retention system. So unless you know where the magic button is, you aren't getting the gun out of the holster. Nobody's pulling my gun out of my holster and using it on me unless they're a gun guy and they know Safari Land rigs, and they know that my rig is a Safari Land rig. So but I'll show you that. I got the drop down, so it's hanging down off my hip like quick draw. Like a modern day version of quick draw. So I am excited, with the new pickup, new to me, with the new used pickup, and the place and the move. I'm just waiting for the closing to happen so I can get established in Oklahoma. And but yeah, with constitutional carry in Oklahoma, that's a huge plus for me. And they also have a no red flag law. I've been dealing with some drama. My son is currently locked up. It's a good thing. He needed to be. And now he's hopefully getting the help he was refusing to get for himself. So that's been a huge drama that I've been going through. Plus, this is more my personal slop here. We'll get to the Chaz and the chop here in a minute. But the personal slop. So I'm 100% sure that I have type 2 diabetes. And I had a series of symptoms that were bothering me for some time. Sores that wouldn't heal, sluggishness, lethargic, blurring of vision. And then my feet went out during the lockdown, and I got to where the bottoms of my feet were just hurting me all the time. And I thought it was plantar fasciitis. Plantar fasciitis is something I've dealt with in the past, which is just basically an inflamed sole of your foot. So I thought that's what I was dealing with. And so, but when my feet started tingling and burning and my hands started tingling and burning, I started doing some research, and ding, 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 all that adds up to out of control, untreated type 2 diabetes, which is kind of rough for a guy who doesn't believe in doctors. So I also did some research and found out And please, YouTube, I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice, but what I have found out and discovered from my personal research is that type 2 diabetes is reversible, and you do it by basically going on a keto diet. You have to have a huge amount of self-control. Bye-bye to carbs. No, not even rice. No potatoes, which I grew some potatoes, so my sister will get some free potatoes. You know, no... nothing basically but lean meat. It don't have to be lean, but because fat's your friend when you're dealing with blood sugar issues. But yeah, green vegetables and meat, which is basically a keto diet. And so I've been eating a lot of salads. I've been eating a lot of I've been doing some fishing and eating fish, home cooked meals. And it's a little more work, but woohoo, do I feel better? And don't I look better? Look, haven't I lost some weight? Anybody want to call me fat now? I lost a bunch of weight. I don't have scales, so I don't know how much, but my skinny shirts are starting to fit again. And my feet still hurt a little bit. I got a little bit of a limp, but it's way better, and the tingling and burning is gone, and I have a little bit of sore feet right now, but way better than I was. I was crippled up. I was very kind of desperate, and then doing that, 150 yard round trip walk with 2-gallon water can to water my garden every day, making like 12 trips. I don't know how much that is, like a mile or so of walking every day on these messed up feet. And so I'm glad I figured out what it was. I'm glad I have great self-control and will be able to continue this diet for the rest of my life. And let me warn you, I am going to go down probably another 50 or 60 pounds. I know when I eat like this, I go down to my perfect weight, which is about 170 for me, which is about 50 pounds lighter, I would guess, from where I'm at now. And anyway, but I'm feeling a lot better. I believe I've completely started the turnaround, and I've only been on the keto diet for about a week, and I've already lost weight, and my feet are way better, and my energy level's up, and my vision's cleared up, my skin's cleared up. And I'm not on any of the medications, which I don't really trust the doctors, and I don't trust the medication. And so I just self-diagnosed, changed my evil ways of eating. And the lockdown, I blame the lockdown. During the lockdown, I bought a bunch of food that stores, forever foods. And the problem with forever foods is they're high carb foods. Sugar, flour, corn, all this stuff is high. It lasts for a long time, but it's high carbohydrate food. And then when you're locked down, and there's you can't go out and do anything, and it's just life stops. What else is there to do but to eat? So I ate myself from health into type 2 diabetes, and I'm eating my way back out of it by eating healthy. And so at any rate, I'm using the symptoms to basically meter my blood sugar. I can tell by how I feel where it's at. And I don't need the doctors or the technology. I just need to live right. Not everybody can do that, because not everybody has the incredible self willpower that I have. And I have lost 100 pounds in a year twice in my life. And the reason I go back is because I get a little bit of self-destructive behavior happening, and I don't care, and then that's not good. So anyhow, I've got my work cut out for me on this move to Oklahoma. I've got a kitchen to build when I get to Oklahoma. I got to start falling trees and cutting firewood. I'm going to get a splitting machine, or rent one at least, so I don't have to swing a splitting maul, and I'll just sit there and let the machine split the wood for me. And I'm going to start laying up firewood and food to get ready for this winter. Now, having said all that, let's take a minute, and I'll take your questions and comments if you guys want to hit me up at this point about my personal slop, where I'm at. Stem Enhanced Ultra, I don't know what that is. It's some kind of medication. New truck and moving, yes. It's not it's new to me. I haven't had a new vehicle in forever. Not since 1991. It's the last time I had a brand new vehicle. Northern California. You ready for the state of Jefferson, Johnny Wasser? You're going to be one of them state of Jefferson fighters, I imagine. How many miles on my pickup truck? Well, it is a Chevy, so 198,000 miles is not too many. And it's a really clean truck. It's that's the thing I love about it, is there's really almost nothing wrong with it. But yeah, so I do have my work cut out for me. Don't forget the chickens. You can have eggs. Yeah, I'm going to move my chickens. I don't know how legal it is to take chickens across the state line. I don't know if that's a violation of the Mann Act or what. Well, I'm going to do it anyway. Try and catch me. Yeah, this is a clean truck. It's like I said, it's a 2005 Chevy. I'm sorry, it's a GMC Sierra 1500 quad cab. Germantown, North Carolina. Awesome. ATF coming after pistol braces. Really, they can't make up their mind. I was about to buy one of them little one of them little, what do they call it? You know, pistol caliber carbines, but they're officially a pistol with the brace. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, if you have a barrel under 16 inches and a fixed stock on a gun, that's like a class 3 weapon. You have to have a special license to own one. But apparently they have a thing that looks like a stock, works like a stock, but it's supposed to be a brace that you stick your arm on to use with an AR pistol, okay? And of course nobody uses it to brace their arm. They use it like a regular stock. And so I guess at first those were illegal, then the ATF said they were legal, and then there was a gray area, then they confirmed yes, they're legal, and now everybody has these AR-9 pistols or AR pistols, and you can get AK pistols. They have, you know, Ruger's got a new one they call the Charger, which is a great looking little piece. It's a little overpriced. But I guess someone's saying that the ATF is coming after pistol braces. It's one of the reasons why I didn't jump on the bandwagon. I kind of thought that might be something they changed their mind on. What's up, Alabama? Man, the Mini Draco is something I really would love to have. Yeah, Steven, of course, you're the AK dude, man. You're the AK king, Steven. But yeah, the Mini Draco AK pistol is amazing. Remember the murals at Denver International Airport, Sage? Some of the things ring true. No, this is their plan, definitely. I think I did a follow-up video on my original video about the mural where I decode the murals and talk about how it's a pandemic. It's a planned pandemic meant to kill all the old people and leave only the young people alive. Longview, Washington. I played a gig in Longview, but I probably told you that already. Oak Clinton, El Callaway. It was awesome. It was a private deal. Mikado16, thank you so much for this super chat. Thanks for this, for the move. I need all the help I can get. Dr. Jennifer Daniels got deemed a terrorist because she almost cured people's diabetes with no pills. Well, I've seen documented proof and scientific proof, and it's been medically proven, if you ask me, that type 2 diabetes, well, I've heard stories of people who were on insulin pumps who literally couldn't keep their blood sugar under control no matter what they did. And, you know, it's like the more insulin you use, the more insulin you need, and you become insulin resistant. But when you go onto a keto diet, it reverses it all. And these people that were within months of being on a insulin pump, that's where they actually have a machine attached to your body, and it's pumping all the time. They were able to walk away from all insulin and go completely without any medicine. What part of Oklahoma am I moving to? ShareBear is asking. The closest city to where I am moving to is Shawnee. So I am north of Shawnee a bit, right along the fork of the Canadian River there, deep fork of the Canadian. Backwoods of Missouri. It seems like that part of the country is a good place to be. Texas is turning purple. Not to mention we have border issues, and I think as the New World Order takeover rolls out, Texans will be preoccupied and unable to really fight against the New World Order takeover, because the inflow of immigrants across the border will be so strong and so continuous, and the people coming over will be so combative, and many of them armed, that Texas will be really busy fighting that battle. And so I thought a little further north. Plus, I'm starting to become a believer in global warming, just because, well, to give you an example, my property in Texas now has jackrabbits. It never had jackrabbits before. My area in Texas where my land was, and by the way, I have a year to move. The guy that bought my place rather, he's given me a year, so I don't have to leave right away. I can make this transition slowly. But anyway, my property in Texas is dry as a biscuit. It is dry as a night crawler left out in the Texas sun. And it has species of insects that weren't there 10 years ago, and animals that weren't there 10 years ago. You had to go many miles south to find some of these animals that now are living on my property here in Texas, my former property here in Texas. I guess I'm a guest on my own land now. But at any rate, moving a little further north into Oklahoma, I thought was, going to give me a break. I've been watching the weather quite a bit, and they just get a lot more rain up there. They get a lot more milder temperatures. I mean, it hasn't rained in Texas, in this part of Texas. Well, I guess a month ago, I got enough rain to put another 150 gallons or 200 gallons in my rainwater tank. But that's another thing, my garden is still not fully matured, and I'm almost out of water. And it just isn't going to rain. It's just not raining here. So I think for agriculture and animals, a move north is probably smart for me. So Omega 9 is making a prediction. In 4 days, or around the next week, someone really popular or renowned will be sacrificed. Don't. So if you don't know what that is, there's this concept, and I did a coffee talk on it called the Illuminati sacrifice. So it's the idea that that's the Illuminati in their satanic religions periodically sacrifices in some public death certain famous people. So we'll see if somebody famous kicks the bucket and has a mysterious death. Am I close to any rivers or lakes? Well, that part of Oklahoma, William, is absolutely dotted with all kinds of small lakes. Of course, one of the biggest lakes in America, Lake Eufaula, is a short drive, probably less than an hour. The northern part of Eufaula is only about an hour from where I live, or less. And then the Canadian River runs right through that part of Oklahoma. And one of the things I like about where I'm going is I got an invite to come there, and that's one of the reasons I picked that area, by someone that I know, because they have a pretty strong unbranded militia. So just like a group of like-minded men who are determined to protect their area. And where I'm at in Texas, I was kind of alone. A lot of city folks have moved out to that part of Texas where I had my land, from the city, from Dallas, and they're not the same kind of folks. And a lot of the country, I'm the last of the country rednecks to leave that part of Texas. And so Oklahoma, I think, has a lot more like-minded folk. Yeah, I don't know if is there plenty of music gigs? I don't know if anybody's making music right now, because they're going to lock us down again. Thanks, Omega. I appreciate that. I found my hat. What? I don't know what that means. Wichita, Kansas. I don't know much about that place. I haven't been there. Oklahoma has medical marijuana. Yes, it does. And a no red flag law. So they have a law that says you can never pass a red flag law. So that's cool. And then constitutional carry is awesome. From Holland. What's up, Mab from Holland? Man, that's a long ways. What's up, New York? When I was a kid, one of my friends their dad had a ham radio, and he used to do that skip bouncing of the signal off the stratosphere, and he would You know, he had on his wall coffee cups and ashtrays from around the world. And so he talked to people in Japan and India and all over the place. When am I coming back to PDX? I don't know. When my son gets settled, I may come back and visit him when he gets squared away and leveled out. I'm just glad he's safe and off the street now. Have I looked at Missouri firearm laws? I don't know. I don't know how it gets any better than constitutional carry with laws against making red flag laws. I think that's about as good as it gets. Oh, Arkansas has constitutional carry too. Well, some of my family's buried in Arkansas. My mom is from Arkansas. My dad was raised in Wicks, Arkansas, even though he was born in Oklahoma. I have a sister buried in Oklahoma, grandpa buried in Arkansas. So, yeah, that Cherokee Strip area is kind of where my people really originate from. But originally we came from the North Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, that kind of East Coast area there. Tornadoes in Oklahoma? Yeah, you betcha. I'll give you a tip about tornadoes, though. And I have followed this rule for myself, and I've just found it to always be true. Tornadoes touch down in the same areas over and over again. That's why certain towns get wiped off the map over and over again. Just like hurricanes hit certain cities and wipe them out over and over again. And but likewise, there are places where tornadoes never touch down, never have, and never will. And the way you find those is old growth trees. So big, tall, deep, ancient, old trees. Because tornadoes uproot trees. Tornadoes snap trees off at the stump. And so if you want to find a place in the heart of tornado country where you can feel relatively safe that you're not going to get swept away like Dorothy, look for a place like the one I just bought with old growth forest. Big oak trees will kind of give you some protection because, you know, it's been a long time at least since a tornado has touched down in that spot. Plus, I got a Jim Dandy storm shelter right adjacent to the back door of the new shotgun shack in Oklahoma. So I'm not really afraid of tornadoes. I've sat in a house and heard the freight train come through and been in a house when the roof was ripped off by a tornado. And I think if you see it coming and you don't live in a mobile home, you know, and if you live in a mobile home or a shotgun shack, you better have a storm shelter close by. But if you take shelter under the stairs, in a bathroom, you know, in a stairwell, in a storm shelter, tornadoes really aren't that scary, and, you know, have insurance. What's up, Freedom Redneck? Good to see you. So Johnny's been thinking of reload. If you're in California, you better get the heck out. Just pretty much any place is better than California. I've been trying to tell my friends and family in Oregon that they are on the wrong side of the Mason-Dixon line, and the Civil War is about to break out. I mean, it is broke out. So let's talk about Chaz and Chop. So if you don't know what that is, my old friends Antifa, along with militant Black Lives Matter, and just a cavalcade of weirdos have taken over a 6-block area of Seattle and declared it an autonomous zone. At first they called it Chaz, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. But I don't know that, I think people were teasing them, or, you know, because Chaz is kind of a California surfer name, you know. Yo, dude, like, what's up, man? I'm Chaz, man. Like, nice to meet you, yo. So, I think they were catching too much heat for that. So now they've changed it to Chop. Capitol Hill ongoing protest or something. I don't even know. But, you know, Donald Trump has been out of shape about it, and as he should be. He's a law and order president. And what they have there, what they wanted to have there, was Woodstock. I think that a lot of the hippie folks, a lot of the drug addict types and the homeless people that came there, they wanted to have the Summer of Love, which the mayor said, maybe we'll have the Summer of Love and we'll let them stay all summer, the mayor of Seattle. But I think that's what they wanted to have, but the communists had a whole nother concept in mind. The communists wanted to set up an autonomous zone, a nation within a nation. Yeah, Capitol Hill Occupy protest is CHOP, that's right. And the thing about changing the name to CHOP, too, is that what happened to people who didn't go along with the French Revolution? So, you know, the history, if you know the history, we had a French Revolution. It was bloody. It's where the guillotine comes from. So those that didn't go along with the People's Revolution in France got chopped. So that's one of the reasons they turned it into CHOP. Yeah, but this place is definitely not Woodstock. A warlord named Raz and Chaz and Chop. Raz has come to the forefront. I guess he's a somewhat successful rapper on some online platform. He has enough money that he owns a Tesla, and he was recently seen in a video handing out AR-15s to the general public inside of the autonomous zone, you know, from the trunk of his Tesla. And it looked to me like he was handing out AR-15s to people that were too young to own them. Now, if there's anybody here in the comments section from Washington State, let me know about their laws there. But in Oregon, you have to do a legal transfer. Like, I can't loan my wife my gun in Oregon. If she uses my gun or gets caught carrying my gun or has my gun in her possession, right, then I'm in trouble for an illegal transfer. Because if I want to even loan you a gun, I got to go down to the gun shop and have the gun transferred into your name, pay 40 bucks, 30, 40, 50 bucks to the gun store to have it transferred. So apparently this Raz character has been transferring guns to people without any background checks. They could be felons as far as he knows, without checking their ID, their age, or you know, there may be a Washington law like Oregon. I'm assuming there is, that Oregon, Colorado, pretty much every place I've been except Texas and Oklahoma nowadays, you have to do a legal transfer like you've sold the gun, even if you just want to loan it to your daughter because she's scared because her boyfriend is threatening to hurt her and she lives alone. Yeah, I mean, all he did was go, anybody know how to use a gun? This Raz guy. And they're like, yeah, I do. And then they hand the gun to this kid. Looks like everybody looks like a kid to me anymore, but they hand the gun to this young man. And he grabs it by the magazine, and you can tell he's just fumbling with it. It's the first time he's ever held an AR-15, I promise you. And he said he knew how to use it, so Raz gave it to him. And that's on video. But their gardens that they're growing there are a total joke. I'll tell you something, Oregon, and especially when you move that far north, and people that live in northern Washington, thank you, Movie Maker. I sure appreciate you for the super chat. But if you're from the northern part or from Canada, you know you have a shortened growing season. And you have to plant your plants right when it's perfect time. And it's way late. It's way late for planting. In the Portland area, right around the end of April is when you should plant things. You can plant some things earlier that are cold tolerant. But if you wait too long, they won't have time to get mature before the cold weather comes in and the days get short. And so that's another 4 hours north up there in Seattle. So their gardens are not going to produce anything. You know, they don't have enough food. They're having total chaos. Street preachers have gone in there and basically got the crud beat out of them. You know, the first thing that they did was put up a wall, you know, a border, no walls, no USA at all. Well, they got the no USA part because they, you know, are calling themselves another country. But the first thing they did was put up a wall. Now, apparently they gave a couple of blocks back to the city of Seattle in exchange for a real wall. They're building a wall at the Chop Chaz. They're building a wall, a concrete barrier, because they have Puget Sound John Brown Gun Club, which is the communist militia, has taken over control of the security. And it was really kind of funny, though. Inside of the chop zone, one of the John Brown Gun Club guys got his AR-15 and his whole battle rattle kit stolen. And let's see, did he call the gun club? Did he call Raz, the warlord? No, he called the Seattle Police Department when they stole his guns. It's like when they get in charge, they realize, oh, we need police. We need, you know, yeah. They don't like stop and frisk, but if you go in there, they're going to stop and frisk you. Yeah, I can't really believe that the people of Seattle are going along with it, but I think it's just temporary. I'm seeing videos and hearing reports of what they call right-wingers, and they're saying they're Proud Boys, but I imagine they're just gun-owning citizens of Washington State who are sick and tired of it, and they've been marching through and have with American flags, and you know, having some confrontations and some conflicts. I mean, it was really hard at first for me to sit on my tail and not go there. Like, I wanted to go there. You know, I got lots of reasons to maybe make this trip to Oregon. I hate that stretch of desert between here and Oregon. It's awful. I hate driving it. It's hours of monotony, and it's really bad in the summer. And I can't go through Colorado anymore because they have a 15-round magazine ban. So if you have a 17-round magazine, which is everything is at least 17 rounds for me, then it's a felony for me to possess that in Colorado, so I have to go around Colorado now. But it was really hard for me not to go to Seattle and start something. Because here's the thing. In America, we have the right to move about freely. You can walk down the street in Dallas, you can walk down the street in DC, you can walk down the street in Portland or Seattle or San Francisco or wherever you want, and other citizens got no right to stop you, frisk you, harass you, dig in your pockets, ask you for money to enter, you know, unless they own the property and it's an admission fee, you know. But to walk down a city street paid for by taxpayers' money and to have somebody stop you and harass you is not just un-American, it's infuriating. And I wanted to strap on, put my kid on, and walk right down to that Antifa checkpoint and walk past them. And if they tried to stop me, just give them the finger. And if they tried to lay hands on me, smoke the first one that touched me. Right? It took a lot. It took a lot of self-control for me not to jump in my car and go do that. But now, with the mayor going, oh, it's the summer of love, and the governor going, oh, really? They took over Seattle? When did that happen? Like, he was totally oblivious. It was going on. It was a week, 10 days into it. Somebody asked him about it, and he went, what? There's people taking over Seattle? Huh? So, whether that was stupidity or whether it was, you know, incompetence or just a stupid lie, nonetheless, why the heck should I defend Seattle if Washington State won't defend Seattle? Why should I defend the people of Seattle if they won't defend themselves? So I'm staying down here in the red state, and they can all go take a flying leap, and they can deal with their own unrest. And I honestly, at this point, I think we ought to just, if I was governor of Washington, of course, I'd never get elected in that state, but if I was governor of Washington, I'd put up a 20-foot fence with razor wire around the top of it, and it would be escape to New York. It would be like, okay, you got your own country. You are now an autonomous country of your own. Chaz, Chop, whatever you want to call yourself, you are now a country. No American laws apply to you, but if you want to come out into our country, you're going to need a passport, and you're going to need a visa to visit the other half of Seattle and the rest of the state and the rest of the country. And it would just be escape from New York up in there. And if I was a tyrannical president, that's exactly what I would do. I'd just surround them with the National Guard, and I wouldn't let any of them out. It'd be like the Roach Motel. You can check in, but you can't check out. I say let them all go to Seattle, and let's put a big circle around it, and you don't get out unless you jump through the proper hoops. book written by Sylvia Brown. Hey, William I might have that book. No, that's a different. Sylvia Brown sounds like the same lady. I don't know. One of my viewers sent me a book on prophecy, and it was written in the late 90s, and the stuff this woman got wrong was crazy. She got everything wrong. I mean, she was way off on technology, way off on government. By 2020, I mean, it was almost as bad as we're supposed to have flying cars. However, there was a stunning phrase in that book written, 16 years ago? I think it was 94 when that book was written. And she said, in 2020, a respiratory virus will break out in America, and it won't be as deadly as people think, but it'll cause a panic, and it will make the wearing of masks and gloves a normal, everyday thing. I was like, wow, you got everything else wrong, but you nailed that. You nailed it. How did she know? She must have had a dream. The Hot Zone, I haven't seen that one, and I'm a Dean Koontz fan, but he wrote so many books. I thought I'd read them all, but I've not read Hot Zone. So let's talk about BLM. I'm probably going to get kicked off of YouTube if I do talk about this. But if you want to, okay, so the idea of Black Lives Matter is a good idea. You know what? Everybody's lives matter. And if anybody out there thought that Black lives didn't matter, well, shame on them. They're an evil piece of crud, and they need to be dealt with harshly, right? But the way they are, their attitude is only Black Lives Matter. And that I cannot agree with. And if you say all lives matter, you get labeled a racist, apparently. But you know what? Let's take their name out of it and look at their manifesto. Go to their website, the official Black Lives Matter website, and look at their We Believe, what they believe. They have a page there where they talk about their belief system. And when you look at what they believe, they are communists. And I think most African Americans who are behind and support the idea of Black Lives Matter would be shocked if they knew that their manifesto was just straight up communism. They want to do away with the nuclear family. They want to do away with private property. They want to do away with the police and the court systems, and replace it with what? Socialism, I presume. But I got a real problem with the organization in what they believe. And then you've got all this white guilt being put upon people, and you've got all these people kneeling. I'll tell you what, I'll kneel for Jesus, but I'm not going to kneel even if it's to get a bullet in the back of my head. I'm not kneeling. You shoot me eye to eye, okay? I'm not kneeling for you. I'm not kneeling for anybody except Jesus Christ, my King. He's the only one I kneel to. And I don't care what you say. I don't care what you threaten me with. I don't care what you call me for not doing it. And, the fact that this has gone way far off the deep end. I mean, the Colin Kaepernick thing. I'm sorry, I can't help but call him that. That's a little shout out to, I can't remember his name, but there's a comedian that plays a character on YouTube. He has a mullet and a ball cap, but anyway, he calls him Kaepernick. But anyway, the whole idea that behind his protest, the NFL protest, was if you kneel during the anthem, you're saying that you can't stand for America until America does something about police abuse, about what I'm looking for, police brutality. Okay, but now they've taken the kneeling thing as a way of non-African Americans showing their submission to the African race, right? And it has nothing to do with taking a knee during the anthem. Now they're just kneeling. And we got to talk about Nancy Pelosi. We got to talk about Chuck Schumer and those ridiculous Democrats who put on their little African colored, in the priesthood, that's a vestment that you wear around your neck, and it's got a lot of symbolism behind it. But they were wearing this to show their support for the African Americans, and they all took a knee. It's funny because old Nancy Pelosi, the crypt keeper, had to be helped up from her kneeling position. She got stuck down there on her knee. But the thing they're wearing, the colors behind it, okay, first of all, it's cultural appropriation, if you want to use their own terms against them. But the colors themselves don't just represent Africa in general. That color pattern, just like Native American color patterns designate a tribe, it's like their flag. Their pattern of colors and geometric shapes in the weaving process of the fabrics that they make, these colors represent their tribe. So the colors that Nancy Pelosi and these senators and congressmen were wearing during that virtue signaling moment was actually from a tribe who is the most notorious slave trading African tribe on the continent. So there was one particular tribe of Africans who put it upon themselves to sell all of their brothers and sisters into slavery. Contrary to popular belief, white folks didn't run through the jungle catching black folks with nets and carrying them off. Other black people did that to their own people and sold them to the white slave traders in the bay at the ship, right? And but those colors that Pelosi and them were wearing were actually slave trader colors, which I thought was beautiful. I'm just sorry, it's just a beautiful screw up, which is really what you could say about most of the most of the Democrats. They're just a great big beautiful screw up. Obama is still calling himself president. Well, I will say this. That is the proper title for anybody who used to be president. When you talk to Bush, you don't call him former president. You don't call him Mr. Bush. You call him President Bush. Same with, I guess, Carter's still alive. You call him President Carter. So I don't know if that means anything other than, I think we all know that he's got a shadow government he's been running this entire time. That he never really relinquished the reins to power. Obama just went underground, and he considers himself a still in power, honestly. Have I missed me going over Hillary testifying? I may have missed that. The first, I don't know how many minutes of this video was the personal slop portion, and you can see that I have been going through a lot, so I may have missed the Hillary debacle, mainly because I believe Hillary will never face justice. If anything, Hillary's about to come out of the shadows and be the running mate with Biden, potentially. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying, though. You're saying that Obama's Twitter calls him president, not former. That is correct. Bush is president, not former. It's kind of like once you're a president, you're always a president. You may not be the sitting president, but you're still President Obama, President Bush, President Carter. And, we don't call George Washington former president. He was the first president. Is Hillary really running for president again? Because, I've heard a lot of talk about it, but clearly Biden's got to be replaced. Obviously, and you guys some of you may not know this, that a number of years ago, Joe Biden had serious brain surgery, and he had to have he had a tumor in his brain removed with a portion of his brain, and either the tumor is back or he is in some form of dementia, but either has dementia or brain damage, I like to call it Dane damage. Pardon me, I got some Dane damage. But so Biden's got some Dane damage, and he's just not a viable candidate. If he ever has even so much as a town hall, he's just going to fall all over his tongue. He does every time. The stuff he says is crazy. Sometimes his brain just clicks out and his mouth starts running and it's gibberish. And what did Laura Ingraham called him? The king of So they're gonna have to come up with an alternative. I do have a theory I do have a don't theory for you concerning his running mate. It looks to me like Susan Rice is the person he's zeroing in on. He's got a lot of pressure to name a woman of color to be his running mate, and every time I see a thumbnail on YouTube, it's Susan Rice's face. Now, if you don't know who Susan Rice was, she was a member of the Obama administration, and she is at the heart of Obamagate. And her testimony, her arrest potentially, her indictment, could unravel the entire Obamagate thing and put everyone, including Obama himself, at risk of prosecution. She is a sensitive individual, and one way to make sure that she doesn't get indicted, one way to make sure she's not forced to testify, one way to make sure that Susan Rice doesn't ever get in the spotlight of the coming Justice Department investigation is to name her as the running mate for Biden, because then you can't go after her, because that looks like you're going after a political opponent, and it looks like a political attack. So it would make sense that the blood-drinking, baby-eating elitist would want to take her and put her in that position just to protect and to diffuse and to push back against the investigation, which is kind of quietly going on under the radar right now. So you think, let's talk about the polls for a minute, because what if you're listening at all, what I'm sure you've heard like me, is that that Trump has taken a dump in the polls, and that he's in the polls. Well, here's my opinion on the polls. The polls had him behind Hillary Clinton, yet he won. The polls were always against Donald Trump. But here we are now. It's clear. CNN is not a news agency. It's propaganda for the Communist Party, okay? Not even for the Democratic Party, for the hardcore communists. MSNBC might as well fly the Russian star on their logo, right? I'm sorry, not the Russian, the Chinese star on their logo. That these people are clearly engaged in ongoing and unrepentant propaganda. And so why wouldn't the polls also be compromised? I mean, if our mainstream media has become compromised by communist interference, then these polls are intentionally off. The polls don't matter. I don't believe them for a second. Let's talk about the hypocrisy of the beer bug. We'll call it the beer bug. So when millions of people are in the streets protesting, hundreds of thousands in cities all over the country and all over the world actually, and they're elbow to elbow and they're yelling at each other, yelling into the air, they're holding hands and linking arms and chanting, right? And nobody says a thing about, oh, they're putting everyone at risk, they're not social distancing. And then they just completely ignore the concept of the virus. It's like the virus didn't exist. It's like the bug wasn't a thing for, 2 weeks until Trump scheduled a rally. And then it's like, Trump, you can't have a rally. You can't have a million people in Tulsa. We're under a pandemic. Really? You didn't talk about that when there was hundreds of thousands of people and a million people in D.C.? Thank you, George. I appreciate that super chat. Thanks to everyone who's given me stuff in the super chat. I appreciate that. Yeah, you can only catch this is the next thing they're going to say. You can only catch the corona bug, the beer bug, if you're a Republican and go to a Trump rally. You know what? They know how effective those big gatherings are. They know that is the way Trump won the first time, and he's maintained these rallies. He's the only president that never stopped campaigning. If you think about it, hang on. Trump is the only, that's unsweet tea, by the way, no soda for me. Trump's the only president I've ever heard of, ever known of, that continued to have rallies all through his presidency. He never stopped. And so this is how he rallies the troops. And it's so effective that they're going to do anything they can to shut it down. They're going to put us under another lockdown just to stop us from gathering together and rallying. Think about it. They're trying to stop interpersonal human communication for political reasons, okay? Because they are silencing us on the internet. You can't talk on Twitter. YouTube is compromised. Facebook, forget about it. If it's not puppies and kittens, you're going to get kicked off of Facebook. And so the way that the rest of the world, the way that their side communicates, organizes, and Antifa is and BLM is organized on the internet, but they took that away from conservatives. And now they're trying to stop us from even talking in person. You wait and see. They're going to come up with some weird scheme to try to take away our cell phones so we can't even text each other. They're going to start editing our texts and editing our phone calls. I mean, they're just trying to not just silence us so our opinion can't be heard, but to stop us from organizing, communicating, and working together. But the thing about the leftist is they're just stupid. They're just really stupid. They're so stupid, it's beyond words. Because let me ask you, let's break this down. Let's reduce this to the ridiculous. Let's not make it a whole society. Let's just make it a married couple. So let's say you've got an abusive husband, and he's a real dominating jerk. And he doesn't want to hear your opinion. He doesn't want to hear your complaints. He doesn't want to hear. And his answer to everything is, shut up, woman. Shut up. I didn't give you permission to speak. Shut up. He thinks he's winning because what does she do? She shuts up. It's easier that way, right? If she shuts up, he never bothers her anymore. But does he really win? Or is she silently plotting his demise? Once you shout someone down and shut them up, you really haven't gained anything. In fact, you've lost something. You've lost intel. You've lost information. Because when they're not talking now, you don't know what they're thinking because you're not a mind reader. So when you shout somebody down, what you create is an individual who is silently plotting against you. They're working to sabotage your career, your life, your food. They're the ones. They're gonna go into total passive aggressiveness. They're gonna be the one turning the AC off in the middle of the night. They're gonna be letting the air out of your tires because they don't have. What else do they have? They can't speak. You've taken away their ability to voice their opinion, and they don't matter anymore. So this is what the left has done to us. They think they're winning because the right's really not talking about it. I mean, if you think about it, all of this incredibly invasive crap has been perpetrated against, the right, Republicans, whatever you want to call us, conservatives, Christians. We've been silenced. We've been told to shut up. We've been told to get off the internet. We've been told you can't speak. Your opinion doesn't matter. Shut up, boomer. Right? You're a white man. You're not allowed to have an opinion. That's one of the things about the Chaz Chop area. I was watching a video on there, and one of the guys that was a leftist who was doing the video says, "Oh, I just want to let you know, if you're a white person and you want to have an opinion in the comment section, just shut up. You're not allowed to speak. Your opinion is not welcome here." So they're silencing us, and they think they're winning, but really, we're just sharpening our knives. Really, we're just prepping. Yep, we're quiet. We don't have anything to say about it. This is one of the reasons, a hard thing for me, why I haven't been making a lot of videos, because there's no sense in me talking anymore. The more I talk, the more likely I am to get shut down on this platform and to get silenced for good. And so instead of wasting my time trying to argue with these people, I'm preparing to let the air out of their tires. I'm preparing to oversalt their food. I'm preparing to turn off the air conditioner in the middle of the night. I'm, figuratively, obviously, I'm kind of talking in code here, and I think I'm not alone. I think all of us who've been silenced, been told to shut up. Just the amount of physical and mental, emotional energy I've had to put into just this one broadcast to edit my own speech. Words I'd like to say, but I can't use. Phrases and things I have to be careful. Right down to the beer bug instead of saying the name of the stupid thing, right? All of that stuff that they're doing to me is really only accomplishing one thing. My resolve is hardening. my intention to physically resist these people in a way they cannot imagine is getting deeper and stronger, and there's no coming back now. Civil war is coming. It's happening. It's happening now. We're in the middle of it. Another reason I don't make a video is because really I could spend an hour on a live stream just going nanny, nanny, boo, boo, I told you so, I told you so. And nobody likes that. Nobody wants to hear, I told you so. You know that whole thing about Antifa, told you so. Because I saw this coming. You know what? They're just doing the things they told us they were going to do 3 years ago. So, anyway, that's good for me for my rant. I've reached my hour here. The Chaz Chop area, what's going to happen there? I think that's just going to drift away. Honestly, one thing about people with ADD and learning disabilities and demon possession, when you put them loose in a thing like that and you don't fight them and you don't fuss with them and you don't give them any input, you don't give them any stimuli, they just get bored and wander off. So I really think the thing in Seattle is going to fizzle right out. The Bikers for Trump. Terry, is that real? Because I heard a rumor that the Hells Angels were headed there. And then when I looked into that, it was a hoax. It was a total hoax. It's not true. But then I've recently heard that Bikers for Trump are talking about doing something. But most Bikers for Trump are pretty, I mean, they're tough guys, but they're mostly older guys and ladies. And they're not really the violent type. I don't know, are they going to, they might go in there and, you know, they might go in there and make a statement and ride through potentially. I don't know, that could cause some problems. I wouldn't jump one. I'm sure they got a pistol in their vest pocket. But I don't know whether they're going to go in and actually do anything. My prediction is nobody's going to do a dang thing, and then the rain's going to start in September because it's Seattle, and they're all going to go home to their mother's basement where it's warm and dry and play Call of Duty and talk about what a badass they are for taking over Seattle. What do y'all think? What's folks saying here? Sage, have you heard about the China-India clash that happened on the border? Yeah, 20 dead apparently, according to the Indians. The Indian government have said that that 20 people died in a conflagration that happened there. There's another thing I'd like to talk about too is North Korea. What's up with that crazy broad? Woo-hoo! Is she psycho or what? Kim Jong-un's little sister? I think it kind of proves that Kim Jong-un did die. He died. The person that they were passing off for him, have you seen the videos where they show the current Kim Jong-un and they put him side by side with the previous Kim Jong-un, and they do not look like the same person? Like their jaw structure, the distance between their eyes, the biometrics of their face are not the same. Which I believe that the sister Kim is, she's in charge now, and she is crazy. She blowed up the building really just to make a point, and now they're occupying the DMZ. I mean, this is the kind of stuff the old Marine warned me about. You know, he was a Korean War veteran, and that DMZ there is the hottest spot on Earth for decades now. And these people are piling in apparently to the DMZ, and I don't know. I think, yeah, I could see nuclear weapons flying soon on that front. You know, while we're busy fighting amongst ourselves, I think there's some real crazy stuff going on the international scene. Between China and India, there's heat between China and Australia right now. If you get a chance to watch Sky News out of Australia, you'll get a clearer vision of what's going on in America, because they tell it like it is there, because they're not Americans, and so they can tell the truth. They're not being silenced. And then also, Australia and India are about to go to war against China. It's really getting close. I mean, and nobody's backing. The Chinese don't back down, and the North Koreans don't back down. And I'll tell you something about the South Korean people. My old man, he was a bit of a racist, I won't lie to you, but he had a high regard for South Koreans. My dad said that South Korean Marines were every bit as good, if not better, than American Marines, and that was in the 1950s. And he trained. That was what he did over there. He was training Korean Marines. And he said, you know, the Marines in Korea, the South Korean Marines, are the best, the toughest, the most disciplined, the most tenacious, the toughest, the meanest of any fighting force he's ever seen. Russia has been sending fighter jets into our air zones. Yeah, they've been playing games with us too. But, you know, much earlier in this broadcast, somebody brought up the timeline. What's his name? I'm drawing a blank. The time traveler. Somebody write it in here. The time traveler that predicted a civil war and all this stuff. But anyway, I lost John Titor. There you go. But then I lost my chain of thought there. Wait, what were we talking about? Well, Russia. In the John Titor timeline, Russia falls in on the side of the Patriot movement. That in the John Titor timeline, thank you, everybody's like, John Titor, John Titor, John Titor. In that timeline from this supposed time traveler, Russia kind of moves in and nukes the cities, and all of the communist leftists that have taken over the cities like Seattle and New York and LA, and bombs them into the Stone Age. So I'm not too worried about Russia playing military games with our fighter pilots. You know, that's something that's been going on for a long time. It was laid out pretty clearly in Top Gun, ironically. In Top Gun, they show you the kind of war games that has this part of Cold War. And I think it's just military one-upsmanship, saber rattling. It's a game that dangerous men play with each other. You know, let's buzz their tower. Let's see how close we can put our wingtip to that other airplane. Let's fly over the top of the aircraft carrier and see if they'll shoot at us. I don't even think most of the time it's not even authorized. It's just the guys on the ground. You know, I don't know if you've ever been to a backyard beer party with a bunch of guys that do mixed martial arts or UFC. Yeah, somebody's going to get a bloody nose, somebody's going to get a tooth knocked out, somebody's going to get bounced on their head, but it's just all good fun. When it's over, we're all going to have a drink together. No hard feelings. So, like a dangerous game of chicken, exactly. So that may be what's going on with Russia. I honestly see Russia to survive, I think, has to go against China. Because if Russia sides with China and Russia together would be easily able to wipe out America, right? Then Russia and China would be locked in a battle with each other. And Russian war gamers are smart enough to know that. That's why I think in the end, Russia will side with the United States against China. It'll be America and India and Australia and Great Britain fighting the Chinese, and the Russians will play both sides against the middle and try to stay out of it. And then in the end, they'll tip the scales for America because they understand that we don't have a desire to conquer them, but China does. China wants to conquer Russia. They're going to take care of America first, and then it's Russia's turn. Russia, Australia, USA, UK, and India versus China. Yeah, I think at first Russia will just lay out for as long as they can. And if it looks like America's getting their butt whooped, then in the end, Russia will come in and save us because the thing is, they know in the end we don't want Siberia, we don't want Mongolia, we don't care about Russia. You know, as far as we have what we need in America, we have unsettled, untamed land still here. We're not colonial minded, and definitely not willing to risk everything we have to take over a foreign country. But China feels like it's their birthright. It's, you know what, it's Chinese superiority thinking. They just believe that they're superior and the rest of the world must kneel to the great Chinese power, and that's not something America possesses anymore. So it doesn't make sense for Russia to side with China. against the United States. To what end? There won't be any real war at all. It will be synthetic and fought in space. Well, Trump may be knowing something about that. He did the whole Space Force thing. Yeah, the world against China. Well, Iran is going to be on the side of China. North Korea obviously is going to be on the side of China. China has spread to the point where they will easily conquer certain countries and utilize their power against us. Just looking through the comments here, seeing what I want to talk about. We barely want Alaska. I'm sorry. That's going to make Blazing Blazer mad, but that's tickled me for some reason. You think Antifa will defeat China? Well, here's the thing. All the problems we're having in America, I believe China's behind it all. China's behind Antifa. China and the oligarchs, you know, the people that want to be royalty, they're all in it together. They're all allies, as it were. You know, I just scared a woman here in Texas to death the other day. On the closing of my property, I had a conversation with the lady at the title company, and her husband is a retired cop. And we were talking about Antifa and talking about the Chaz / Chop, you know, in Seattle. She told me something coming from her husband I was really concerned about. Apparently, we have Antifa in Fort Worth now, and they're going around Sundance Square intimidating people, bullying people, messing with people while they're trying to eat their dinner on the sidewalk dining that happens down there, which just blew me away because I just can't see them getting away with that for long until some cowboy pulls a 38 out of his vest pocket and smokes one of them. But I scared her to death because I was telling her that the real enemy, the hand behind all of this, are the big corporations. You know, it's Google, it's Facebook, it's Amazon, it's Bill Gates and Microsoft. You know, George Soros, obviously, he's a target we've talked about for a long time that we see is behind this. All of these super uber rich people. And she was puzzled by that. She says, why do they want communism? Don't they understand that communism doesn't have a profit? How are they going to make money from communism? It's just going to destroy their business having a civil war. Why do they want this? And I realized she didn't understand it, and many of you may not understand it either, so I'm going to scare you the same way I scared her with the truth. They don't care about profit, because profit is a capitalist idea. And we're so capitalist-minded, it's such a part of our American thinking that we can't see past it. It's like a veil, it's like a blinder that we can't see through. All right? They've made as much profit as they're ever going to make. They've got the biggest slice of the pie they can ever get. They've reached a wall where they can't make any more money, right? They don't want some of the profit. They don't want some of the money. They want it all. They don't want to be capitalist corporations. They want to be royalty. They want to be oligarchs. They want to be slave owners. So what they want is to take everything you have and make you a slave, and if you don't like it, there's a hole in the ground and you're invited to jump in it. And that's what it boils down to. And when I told that to her, she went pale as a ghost and reached out and grabbed my hand, and she goes, I'm done. I can't handle this. I can't take it. That scares me to death. Oh my God. See, she couldn't believe the conspiracy because she couldn't see the logic in it, because she was thinking like a Westerner. She was thinking like a modern capitalist. We're blinded by our own way of thinking. It doesn't make sense to destroy our country. And, why would they lock down the economy and destroy the economy just to get rid of Trump? Because they don't give a rip about this month's bottom line. They're playing a long game. They want it all. They want your land, they want your car, they want to leave you with just enough so that you can survive to do their bidding. And there's too many of us. They want to get rid of more of us because now with technology, they don't need as many of us to support their lifestyle. They don't need us anymore. So they want to destroy all of us. They want to take all of the money, all of the land, all of the riches, and they want to force you into slavery. And if you're not willing to do that, then they're more than prepared to end your existence. And that is what this is all about. That's what Antifa was formed for. That's what I've come to believe, that the police, not all of the police, but certain members of the police are either being paid to exacerbate the conflict. They are on the side of the New World Order. They've been promised safety and security if they join them in this evil global plot. And they are, in fact, planting bricks. Not all the police, some of the police. Just like, certain churches have compromised, our leadership in the Senate and the House of Representatives is compromised and owned by these communists. So are some of the police, and they're the ones stacking these bricks on street corners. They're the ones intentionally brutalizing people and doing it on video so that they can promote this race war that's coming. And so they're feeding the bits and pieces to the mainstream media that gins up the outrage to bring about this global plan. It is what Folly said. This is the end game. This is the big picture. Order out of chaos. They want to destroy our country so that we're too weak to fight, and then they're going to march in with the shackles and with the death squads. And it's Communism 101. Yeah, they learned a thing or two from their previous experiments, and this is the big one, and it's happening to us. And we have to do something about it. I'd like to think we're in the end times, and the answer is Jesus is going to fix it all. But what if he's not? Are you going to sit by and wait for the second coming that may not be coming? What if we got it wrong? What if we're just sitting down on the job while communists take over our country and destroy this great republic that was built on the blood, sweat, and tears of our fathers and mothers and our ancestors? Wow. Ooh, I gave me chills myself. I gave myself the chills. Gotta laugh to keep from crying. Yeah, if you don't have evil in your heart, it does have to be explained, because it just doesn't make sense. You're right. This evil plan doesn't make sense to good folk. They just can't see it. So Blazin' Blazer says the blueprint of their destruction is the Bible. They can't escape it. If that's where we're at, you're right. But I'm not sure that's where we're at. I mean, I've been one of these people that said, yeah, we're in the end times. It looks like it. But until we see stuff like comet strikes and, major continents being wiped out in natural disasters and things like that, and until we see somebody that we're all like, that guy's the Antichrist, until it's more clear, I can't be sure that's where we're at. We might just be in another phase. We might just be where they were in Nazi Germany before Hitler took over. We may just be where they were before the Bolshevik Revolution and the destruction of the Russian Empire. This is, maybe we're in the end times, and maybe we're just another page in history. I'll tell you this, we Christians, if we act like we're in the end times and we just sit on our hands, and we're not, then we have fiddled while our great nation burns. So I'm more in favor of doing something than I am of sitting around waiting for Jesus to come back. The problem is I'm too old to do much of nothing but talk. My mouth works still works good for now. So Dita doesn't think it's end times. Kathy Lewis says, I opened my eyes and cried my eyes out when I heard an old recording talking about I lost it. Where'd it go? Explaining the plans of the Masons and the Illuminati. Well, you can go back and look at my long-haired Jesus beard video where I realized that Folly was right. I was like, oh my God, this is happening. This is happening. And that was 3 years ago. So I can relate. Everybody wants to focus on Kushner. I just don't think Kushner's smart enough and articulate enough. And he doesn't have enough charisma to be the Antichrist. Everybody wants to make him the Antichrist because he owns a building that's 666 is the address. But he just don't fit the bill for me. He's going to have to come out of his cage and come out of his shell and become something he's not. Because right now, he just kind of looks like the stupid son-in-law. My dad used to call all his son-in-laws dinks. Worthless appendages, he'd say. He could become possessed and take on the role. It could be. It could be. I think they're just putting a lot on it, on the fact that he has that building, and I don't know that that's... Somebody's got to own that address. It can't be like the 13th floor where they just skip it and it doesn't exist. I guess you could have 664 and 668, not have any 666, but I used to know people that their address was 666 in the little town I lived in. It's just a number until it's not. Platform for the mark of the beast is web technology. I will say this, and this is one argument for it being that we are in the end times, is that never before in the history of human endeavors has there been a system in place that could monitor everyone on earth and prevent the buying of and selling of goods and services. There's never before has there been a method or a tool available to completely dominate all commerce. And now we have it. So it's here. It's just a matter of implementing it. And there's 100 different ways to do it. And any one of them could be the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast technology and system is definitely here. So that does lead me to think that, Blue Bottle Bunny says her birthday is May 6, 66. That's funny. That's, boy, that'd be a tough one to live with when you were a kid, especially our age. Kushner is running the Q PSYOP from behind the scenes with Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk. Interesting. I have not heard the idea that Kushner is Q. I don't like Q. I'm not a Q person. Q's not been right through any of this. He's right just enough to keep people hanging on, but we've been hearing a whole lot of stories and things that aren't true. Like, where are the ankle monitors? How come they're not all in Guantanamo Bay? Yeah, I think I've always said Q is a PSYOP from the very beginning. I wrote a song called The QAnon Phenomenon, and I was kind of a believer at first because it sounded great, but it didn't take me long to separate the wheat from the chaff. Yeah, there's a ton of PSYOPs going on right now from every direction. Well, this is a good test for my vehicle. I'm sitting here running the now very cheap gasoline in my gas hog pickup, and it stays nice and cool. And everything's good, and it's like room temperature in here in the Texas heat. So this has been a good experiment for that. Well, guys, I'm about out of words. It happens to me every once in a while. So yeah, if you want to help me out, send your love to P.O. Box 2915, Weatherford, Texas 76086. You can still, at this moment, hit me up with a super chat right now if you want to drop some money on me that way and help support the channel. And I'm doing a little better right now because I was able to sell my land for enough money to buy this other property and have enough money to fix that property up. So I'm not, you know, I was down to 30 bucks during the lockdown. That I got down to where I had 30 bucks, no job, no income, and no future. And y'all were able to keep me afloat. And so I thank you so much for that. If you've ever given 1 penny to this endeavor, if you've ever said a kind word to me, if you've ever shown me love, if you've ever sent me a package, a letter, a card, then thank you so much. Your love and support and my endeavor in this channel has been so life-changing. As you know, I've had a strange and interesting life. But this might very well be the pearl of my strange and interesting life. This might eclipse everything else that I've ever done. And it's because of y'all. This is stuff I would have just spent time talking to myself and my bullhound. But because of you guys and the audience and the bully pulpit I've been given here and the love and support. What's the P.O. Box again? Don't tell the geese, okay? Peck and duck. It's a P.O. Box 2915, Weatherford, Texas 76086. You can also email me if you just want to have a conversation. I do like my email conversations. You can email me at sageland2019@outlook.com. sageland2019@outlook.com. And that's a good place to send me information and stuff. You know, we can talk. I got some people that flirt with me sometimes. that's always nice. But yeah, there it is. Stephen put it up. sageland2019@outlook.com. But I'm going to end the live stream now and try to do more of these. But I'm going to be busy. I will say this. This is a little light at the end of the tunnel. This is my plans. When I move out to the new place in Oklahoma, there is no 4G out there at all. So I'm going to have to get high-speed internet. And when I do, I'm going to start scheduling just like Tim Pool and just like, High Impact Vlogs and people like that they do scheduled live streams. And I'm going to start being more predictable about my live streaming. And I'm going to start doing more. I'm going to make YouTube my job and my main focus once I make this transition and get settled. And we can sit back and drink coffee and watch the world go to hell in a handbasket together. God save our republic. See you next time. Bless y'all. Thank you so much for your love. See you later. Bye-bye now.